Hey guys, what's up? Joe Simpson here. Yes, I'm coming at you again today with a new camera on my books. I've gone back and forth with several different cameras in the past year or two, and I think I finally landed on one I'm going to keep. And I wanted to go through why I picked what I picked and some of the things that I thought were important, and why I think you might want to hear this video because you might be making some of the same decisions I'm having to make. As YouTubers, we're always looking for the best gear we can for the best prices we can get it, and we want to have a no compromise situation, but we don't necessarily want to blow the bank trying to get there. So my camera history is a little chopped up, but basically I've been bouncing back and forth between Canon and Panasonic. I've never really gone full Sony. Two reasons. I started with Canon, so I had a lot of lenses, and there's adapters for Panasonic, so I could have used my Canon lenses on the Panasonic fairly easily with the Metabone speed booster. I kind of stayed in that Panasonic and Canon range because I had the most adaptable format to go back and forth. Now I know there's adapters for the Sonys too for Canon lenses, but for my purposes I thought Panasonic was the best bet. So I started way back when with the T2i. I soon outgrew that. I moved into the 70D, which is the predecessor to the 80D, which had the first dual pixel autofocus, and it was outstanding. I love that camera. It was a little big and huge, kind of heavy, and I ended up selling it to my friend. I then went for the G7, which was 4K. I had a hankering for 4K video for forever, and I don't really know why I was so hell-bent on getting 4K, but I just thought I had to have it. So I bought kind of a lower grade camera, in my opinion, than the 70D. I bought the G7. People would argue back and forth, but the G7 was a real small camera, real easy to carry, and I had real high hopes of using that for vlogging and my YouTube creative. But the problem is with the G7, it has some shortcomings. Then I moved into what I would think would be one of the perfect vlogging cameras, which is the Canon SL2. It's super lightweight, has the dual pixel autofocus, and it does so many things right, but yet, again, it does so many things wrong. So that left me with, at that point in time, it's time to either go with another mid-grade camera that can do a couple of things the others can't, or it's time to graduate into a camera that can do just about everything I need to do. And that's when I decided to go with the Lumix G9. So the G9 is a little bit of an odd bird. Camera companies are brilliant. What they'll do is they'll take a camera and they'll give you everything except maybe two features, and it'll be almost perfect. But in the next camera, they'll include those two features that you're looking for, and you'll think you're almost home free, and then all of a sudden, they took out this and that. For an example, you have the GH5. It has in-body stabilization. It has a myriad of different video settings you can use. It's really a high pedigree camera. The only problem is the autofocus on that camera is not that great. Oh, and it's not very good in low light. The Micro Four Thirds cameras are not as good as the APS-C censored cameras or the full frame cameras in low light because they just don't take in as much light. But they do real well with sharpness and total focusing and precision from a photographic standpoint. So in the GH5, it suffers a little bit in the low light category. So Panasonic came out with the GH5S, which is a low light beast. It can actually hang with some of the Sony stuff. Not quite, but it's pretty close. And of course, in doing that camera, it's almost perfect, but they removed in-body stabilization. So I don't know why. So you have to buy the GH5 for in-body stabilization or the GH5S for the low light, but neither camera has both things. So it's kind of a pain in the neck. And then the G9, they marketed that camera about a year ago. So this one's about a year old. They marketed the G9 as a photographer's camera with good video. And when I first started looking at it, I thought another hobbled camera that's not quite as good as I need it to be. But as I looked at the G9 a little closer and a little more, I decided it could be a good camera. So let's go through some of the positives and negatives of the G7, the SL2, and the G9. And if you're not into cameras and you're my fishing crowd, I'm really sorry about this. So hopefully you don't get mad at me and unsubscribe. But I like to get these videos out for people that care. Because I do have a few technos on my channel that like to see this stuff as well. So the G7, this little guy right here, this is the Lumix G7. It's an awesome camera. This camera has 4K 30 frames, 16 megapixel, has awesome ergonomics. The menu systems on the Lumix cameras are awesome. It has post focus, which is a really cool feature. I won't bore you with the details on that. It has the ability to do 4K photo, which opens the door to a lot of cool features as well. It has a mic jack, which is important because on these cameras, I want to be able to plug in a separate mic that's going to be better sound quality. As you can see, I'm using even at my desk a better mic. It has a flip out screen. That's crucial. All of my cameras forevermore will have a flip out screen. Because when I'm doing videos and I'm looking at my own face, see, I'm looking over here at my flip out screen, I can see everything that's going on. I can see if I'm in focus, I can see if the audio is working. Very important. I just won't have a camera without it, at least not for my vlogging YouTube type of channel, because it's imperative. I know there's some purists out there that shoot and they say all you need is LCD. If you're a pro, you know what to do. I got you. But I need a flip out screen. The G7 does not have in-body stabilization. It does not have good autofocus. It's real slow. If you just notice this camera, I'm filming on the G9. Check this out. All right, it pulls a nice smooth focus to that camera. And I do this a lot on my fishing channel. I show lures and do all kinds of stuff. And as soon as I pull it away, it comes back to my face and focuses in on my eyes. So the G7 can't do that well. It's not weather sealed. And it has poor low light, meaning when it gets dark in here, it gets real grainy and it doesn't look good. Now, low light on a 4K camera is a lot more manageable than low light on a 1080p camera because the noise profile is more tight and grainy, so you can almost deal with it. And it has a slow burst rate with photography, so it's more like a click, 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 click. It's decent, but it's not super fast. So you can't really do like my kids' sports and stuff like that. So then, hang on, hold that thought. See if I come back in focus. Yay. All right, so then I went out and I bought this. This is the Canon SL2. This camera is a DSLR. It is not a mirrorless camera, and this thing's bad to the bone. It's really awesome with autofocus. It's actually better than either one of these cameras. Matter of fact, it's better than just about any camera on the market other than the cameras that are made by Canon like it with dual pixel autofocus. This thing will focus in like milliseconds and it never loses focus. I can walk around and film myself and never lose focus, which is great, but it doesn't have 4K. So I have the Canon color, which is something people like. The way Canon does color in their camera systems is so awesome. I have the Canon brand and ecosystem, large company, lots of lenses, lots of choices. It's small and lightweight, easy to carry, easy to vlog with, and it has the dual pixel autofocus. But it's only 1080p. Now it'll do 1080p at 60 frames, which will allow some slow motion, but it's not 4K. The compression, something is up with this Canon camera and the way things upload to YouTube. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, but I drop it into Final Cut. I export things the same way, Panasonic and Canon, and the Panasonic always looks better. Something's up with the compression and the way Canon compresses their video. When it goes up to YouTube and gets recompressed, it just falls apart for some reason. So I have to do a workaround to make it look better. No in-body stabilization, no weatherproofing. Low light is not good, so when you get into low light situations, it really looks bad. It looks worse, I think, than the Panasonic G7 with the 4K. And it has a slow burst rate as well. It's not really great for photography. So those two cameras are good, and I was buying one with some features, hoping that they would augment each other and offset, but it really never got there, so I was never happy. So in comes the G9. I'm losing my breath. I'm like really psyched and excited about this. It has 4K in 30 frames and 4K up to 60 frames, meaning you can do slow motion at half speed in 4K, which is sweet. It also has 180p slow motion, meaning you can film at 180 frames and slow that down to a 30 frame per second timeline and get like 1/6 speed, which is super slow, almost too slow. This camera is weather sealed. I can get rained on and I'm good. It has in-body stabilization, and not only does it have in-body stabilization, it will work with lenses made by Panasonic that are stabilized, and you'll get dual stabilization, the lens and the sensor. Very cool. And it's good. It's not only good, it's like it whoops Sony to death. I mean, the in-body stabilization in this camera makes Sony's look like it's not stabilized almost. It has very good autofocus, and this is what I mean. I just need something to sit on my desk that I don't have to reach out and touch all the time, that I can do this and show you something, and do this and come back into focus in a relatively clean and fast period of time. It doesn't need to be snappy. I actually don't mind the smoothness of the transition of this camera. It looks normal and natural to me. I can use all the same lenses I used on my G7. I can use all the adapters I've had for my Canon, It's got a pro photo suite, meaning it has so many features in photo mode. It can do 6K photo, it can do post focus, all these things that you probably don't even care or know what they are. It can do some wicked stuff with photography, and it has a 20 megapixel sensor, which is a little bit higher than a G7, so resolution's probably just a touch better. It's $300 to $400 less than the GH5, and it's like $600 or $700 less than the GH5S. And I'm getting a call for a teleconference, so we're going to have to take a break right there, and I'll be back. Not exactly sure where I just left off before my conference call. Sorry about the interruption. But again, the G9 is $300 to $400 less than its big brother, the GH5, and it's a lot less than the GH5S. So I would say right now with the G9 package, with the focusing being good, the resolution of the video quality and the video feature set that it has available, the awesome photography setup that it's got, which is important to me because I have a family, so I like to go out and do things with a camera as well. It's not just all about making movies for me. Really the only thing I'm battling with this camera at this point in time that I feel is really poor low light. And when I say poor low light, it's not poor, it's just something you have to deal with. And that's with any camera. Anytime it gets dark and your ISO goes up, you're going to have more grain in your video and you have to get rid of it. So it's not perfect. Now you can offset the low lighting with lighting, but I'm just a little bit lazy. I have a window in front of me and I like that lighting the best. It's natural. So at night I feel weird. You know, I don't want to look like a movie star in here with my lights and stuff. Eventually I'll probably do that, but for now I'm more casual about it, and I just like to sit down at a desk and talk. So anyway, I came up with the G9. I like it. I think it's a great camera. The GH5 is probably better in a lot of ways. The GH5S is better in a lot of ways. The Sony A7 III is better in a lot of ways. You could go Nikon Z6 I think it is. You can go Canon R or whatever that one is. I mean, there's all kinds of cameras out there, and not everything is perfect for every one, but the G9 in this format I think is really going to be a winner for me. So I hope this helped you guys if you're in the same place I am trying to figure out what to do as far as buying a nice camera. This one should be one you should look at. Check it out. Talk to you soon.